What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review show as Spurs beat Manchester City 1-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday, which made it our first top 6 win of the season, quite crazy enough, more than halfway through the season. And it was a great weekend all round, to be honest. Started off with Arsenal losing to Everton near bottom of the league, which put smiles on all our faces. And then it got down to the Spurs game, and Spurs duly delivered. An unbelievable display from Tottenham, and Emerson Royale was at the centre of things, which we'll get into a second. But obviously, where else to start but Harry Kane yesterday, breaking Jimmy Greaves' record with a lovely goal, lovely finish into the bottom left-hand corner from an assist from Højbjerg. But what a man, what a legend, and what a player. This man broke into the team, first goal against Shamrock Rovers. And when he broke into the team all those years ago, who would have thought we would get to this stage? Seriously.
Well, a lot of people were making fun of him when he first broke in the team. I don't even remember back in under Pochettino, they were calling him the Europa League Messi. I remember when he scored
the Jesus memes and stuff.
The Jesus memes when he like everyone was like making fun of him as if he the fake Messiah when he first broke in the team, and like everyone was thinking this guy's gonna be a flash in the pan. He'll probably be. As fans called him, they weren't joking when they said one season wonder. I think they generally meant it, especially when he started the next season. I think the first 10 games he didn't score a single goal, and it really, a lot of fans, opposition fans, felt like this guy isn't going to last the distance. But now we're sitting here and he's Tottenham's top goal scorer of all time, and he's done it in pretty good time as well, like really quickly, compared to others. Like if you look at his goal scoring record compared to other strikers in the Premier League, it's incredible. Like Wayne Rooney, he's 8 goals behind Wayne Rooney in something like 150 less games. That's how incredibly potent Harry Kane has been and consistent he's been for many years. Even in his bad seasons, he's been getting 17 Premier League goals or there or thereabouts. He is a true marvel. He's an unbelievable striker. I can't believe how good he has turned out to be for us. For me, he's the best striker for sure. Probably the best I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. I think his loyalty means so much to the Spurs fans as well. The fact he has stuck with us for so long when he could have easily forced a way out probably throughout the years, although he did try once to win more trophies and go elsewhere. But he's stayed with Tottenham and just built a legacy here, and hopefully he doesn't leave before he wins something, and maybe it can happen this season. But he's an incredible player, an incredible person as well. He's so humble. He still works hard, still does everything right, never gives you a moment's trouble, like from a PR perspective or everything like that. Always fully behind Spurs. He's an absolute model professional. He's as Gary Neville called him, a golden boy, and he's just the perfect striker. He's got absolutely everything you want in a striker. Great hold-up play, amazing, like two-footed, right foot, left foot, really good in the air, and 276 and 67 goals is an incredible tally, and it's something to be proud of. And he's going to go down in history books as probably the Tottenham's greatest ever striker.
Yeah, and potentially England's greatest ever striker as well. Obviously, he is joint with Rooney now with England's top record goal scorer. So the records just keep coming in for Harry Kane. And like with Harry Kane, every time he's been doubted, he always comes back and proves his doubters wrong, year on, year out. Since he's broken into the team, he's had his doubters, and even up until very recently, he still had his doubters. Even now, people want to come out and doubt him and clown upon him, but he keeps proving people wrong time and time again. And the only reason people aren't talking about Harry Kane in such an amazing light this season is because just how extraordinary Erling Haaland and his goal scoring is. I mean, when you're looking at the rate he's going at this season, he's on course for one of his best ever seasons in terms of from a goal scoring standpoint. So the guy is unbelievable. I never thought I'd see anyone break Jimmy Greaves' record, to be honest, and I think many people were in the same boat as me. And to think about it, to break Jimmy Greaves' record is something incredible, something unbelievable. It's a record that nobody thought was gonna be surpassed, and he's done it at the 29 years of age, where he's still got many years to go. So now you're looking into it, and every single game now can be a record-breaking game for Spurs, literally.
And I don't see any signs of him slowing down right now for Harry Kane. 29, as you say, 17 goals in 22 Premier League games. I don't see him. I don't see any signs of him getting any less for the next few years. I think he's going to go well into his 30s playing at the high level. I think you see strikers these days, I've said it a few times, you look at all the top strikers right now in the game, and a lot of them are in their mid-30s. Benzema, Lewandowski, a lot of these strikers are of a lot older than Harry Kane and are still banging in really good numbers. So there's no reason why Harry Kane, for me, can't replicate that kind of form. So I see him going on to obliterate the Premier League record. Absolutely, he's going to set a new Tottenham record if he stays here in the long term. He's going to set a new Tottenham record, which is going to be near impossible to beat, in my opinion, over the future. And let's just hope he gets that trophy that he just deserves so much.
Well, he might get it because we might be awarded the 2021 Carabao Cup now, so he might get one. But look, let's get on to the game yesterday, because I thought it was a really good display from Spurs. A real Conte performance, in my opinion. Strong at the back. I thought Eric Dyer, Cuti Romero and Ben Davis all had really strong displays yesterday, as well as Emerson Royale. Perisic, I thought was okay, but still expect better from Perisic, to be honest, although not much did come down his side. But Emerson Royale, I mean, everyone's waxing lyrical about Emerson after his display yesterday. And has he emptied out his pockets yet from last night, Emerson Royale?
It's still full, I think.
Still completely full.
100%. Grealish couldn't get a sniff out of him yesterday. I thought Emerson was absolutely fantastic. He's so aggressive. I thought he really earned his money inside the penalty area with some really crucial interceptions and headers away, where it looked like, for all the world to see, that Man City were going to get a goal. Emerson would be there and somehow get a block or get an interception in. And I just thought throughout the game he was constantly an option down the right wing. To be fair, even when he's having bad games, he usually is. That's one thing I give Emerson credit for. He very rarely hides. He's always an option, and even if he lacks quality sometimes, even if he sometimes loses the ball, or sometimes he's not having the best game, he will always show up. He will never hide from the ball. He'll always be an option, and he always is there to be found. And that's something that I always give Emerson credit for. His always ability to get into good positions, although a lot of the time he does lack the final ball or delivery and stuff like that. But yesterday, it was a really strong showing from him. He had to do a lot of defending, and he did it impeccably. He actually did show a bit of quality on the ball as well, especially dribbling and a few really good lofted passes into Harry Kane, especially in the first half, which really got Tottenham on the front foot. And these are the kind of performances that really show that Emerson has something to offer at right wing back in this team, and he has on occasion, especially in these big games. So you have to recall last season at the Etihad against Arsenal and again at Anfield, he had some really strong showings. We really need him to step up from a defensive point of view. And yesterday, and to be fair, you got to give him credit. I think it was it Fulham away? I think Fulham away, and then obviously. What was the game very recently?
Man City.
Man City away, and then there's another game. What game we just win? Just now, just before.
Just before Preston was.
He had a really good game in that game as well.
It was Fulham.
Fulham.
Yeah.
There was Fulham.
It was Man City then Fulham.
Yeah, he had a really strong showing that Fulham game as well. So he's in some good form. You got to give him credit. He's playing really well right now. So and we're keeping clean sheets, and I still think Porro will give us another dimension going forward, but you got to give Emerson credit. He gets clowned on a lot, sometimes rightly, but what for me, I've never criticised him when it comes to his defensive ability. I always thought that's where he earns his money. That's the strongest part of his game. And yesterday, he was exceptional.
Yeah, he really was. But let's be honest, like, it's not these games that we have an issue with him in. It's more like the games that we're going to have this weekend against Leicester, where we're asked to have more of the initiative and really attack the other team. And I think I'd still, even after that Emerson display, I would like to see Porro come in at right wing back for the next game against Leicester. But look, I think It was a game where the first half anyway, let's start off with, where Man City dominated the possession and Spurs were doing really well to keep compact, really limit Man City to not many chances at all, apart from that one right at the end where Mahrez hit the post or the bar. But we did so well, where winning the ball back in the middle of the field, turning over the possession and springing on Man City and really trying to hurt them. And I thought we could have got more than the one goal that we did get yesterday, and we probably should have, to be honest. Kulusevski was doing really well, picking up the ball and driving. Højbjerg, and both Højbjerg and Emerson were playing like men possessed yesterday. And especially Pierre-Emile Højbjerg I want to talk about, because I've been very critical of Højbjerg since the World Cup, since he's come back from the World Cup. We were talking last week saying maybe it'll do Højbjerg the world of good, this couple of weeks rest. Obviously, he didn't play in the FA Cup game, and it looks like that was exactly the case yesterday, because he was back to the Højbjerg that we know and love from beginning of the season. It was his pressing that got us that goal 15 minutes in, slid it into Harry Kane, and he duly finished like he always does. But he was just brilliant. His pressing, his energy, his interceptions and tackles. Him and Bentancur in the engine room were doing such a great job for the team yesterday, weren't they?
Yeah, and they were dominating in the central midfield. It felt like Man City was set up very narrow. Rodri and Rico Lewis were given like license to be when in possession anyway. We're given license to play in field with Bernardo Silva, Grealish, Mahrez playing a bit further forward to support Alvarez and Haaland. And I felt like whenever the ball went to whenever they tried to get the ball into Rico Lewis, Højbjerg and Bentancur like targeted Rico Lewis, tried to bully him, tried to win the ball off him, and it worked. And it definitely worked for the goal for 15 minutes in. It was a near carbon copy of what happened at the Etihad last week for the first goal when Kulusevski gave us the lead. And it's a weird one with our pressing, because like we don't press maybe as much as other teams like a Liverpool or Arsenal, like they're just relentless.
It's like we pick and choose
when we do pick our moments, we are very effective. And I saw a stat. It was very really telling stat I just read on Twitter. It's from Michael Cox. He said for high turnovers in the league, we're third bottom, but for high turnovers that lead to a goal, we're second in the league. So we don't actually press really high often, but when we do it with a purpose, and we do it really effectively. And that was now again case in point yesterday. And hopefully we get to a stage where we're doing it more often, obviously, because clearly showing how effective we are, if we can do it more often, it can be a really good source for goals. But one thing I was really impressed with was our braveness, yesterday, our ability to actually be really aggressive. Braveness, is that not a word? Bravery, that's a better word to use. Bravery is our bravery out of possession, our willingness to engage Man City higher up the pitch more often. A lot of the time we were leaving a lot of risk at the back, 4v4, and to be fair, we've done that previously this season and been punished, but this game, Man City weren't able to go direct. They were just playing it very much in their own half and trying to break us down very methodically, and our aggression really worked in our favour. Actually, Eric Dyer was stepping out of defence way more often.
Was brilliant yesterday. It really was. All three of them at the back, I thought were brilliant. Really was. But sorry, carry on what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying he like that's something I've criticised Dyer for sometimes. When there's two things I criticize for: either he's less willing to come out, or when he does, he's kind of slow and he's easy to play around. But yesterday he was actually really aggressive. I got to give him credit. He's really stepped up. Was willing to step into midfield off the ball and really try and win the ball up high up the pitch. And even though he's not the quickest, we weren't exposed at the back, and that was a large thanks to how good Romero was on his side, and Ben Davies, to be fair to him.
Romero. I said it yesterday in instant match reaction. I know Romero got sent off, and like he got that booking 20 minutes into the game or something, and sometimes he does get those bookings quite early in the game, and you're thinking, is this going to be the day Romero gets sent off? And somehow he manages to skip past it, even though he does make very aggressive tackles. But yesterday, he finally got his sending off, to be honest. But I thought he was incredible. The way he shackled Haaland, the way he didn't give Haaland a breath of space. And you could see it was a game plan for Romero just to stick on Haaland. Don't let him have any room. Don't let him get the ball in any sort of space. And you saw yesterday Haaland was actually coming really deep to try and get the ball, and that is what you credit to Romero, because Haaland doesn't like coming deep to get the ball. Haaland wants to stay in the 6-yard box in the good areas to nick that goal. And we didn't let them do that yesterday.
Yeah, and case in point, actually, if you, I'll show you exactly proof of that. If you bring on the phone, is it not connected? Oh, it's disconnected again. 1 sec, I'll try and connect it again. But basically, if I'll show you Haaland's average position yesterday, it was really deep. Like it wasn't what you associate. Sorry, I'll just reconnect it. But it wasn't what you associate where Erling Haaland should be. You'd think he'd be like on the last line, and it's actually kind of like suffering a very similar to like what Son is kind of suffering with maybe a lot of the season. It should be if you can it should be reconnected now.
I was thinking yesterday when I was watching the game and I was seeing Erling Haaland drop really deep, and Pep made a comment before the game in his press conference, and he said that Erling Haaland can learn a lot from Harry Kane if he watches him play to better himself as a striker. So when I first saw him coming deep, I was like, is this instruction? Is this Pep trying to coach a bit of Harry Kane play into Erling Haaland? But no, it wasn't at all. It was just how well Spurs were defending, how aggressive Romero was being up against Haaland. He just didn't let him have any sort of room and space in that 6-yard box, and he had to go deeper and deeper and deeper to try and win that ball. And it just wasn't happening for him, and I don't think he had a touch in our 6-yard box the whole game.
He didn't have a shot. He didn't have one touch in the penalty area. That just goes to show how well shackled he was, which is really surprising, given that you would. Well, to be fair, in the game with the Etihad, he wasn't really the one he was hurt. I know he scored, but in general, he wasn't really the one hurting us.
Yeah, you say that.
And we did quite well against him at the Etihad, I felt.
You say that, but I felt like Haaland was in all sorts of room and space at the Etihad, and he just wasn't being found for a lot of those times. There were so many times where Haaland was in space, and all City needed to do was play a good ball to him, especially in that first half. I was sitting right behind that goal, and I could see it so clearly. He was in acres of space at times, Haaland, because our defending just wasn't good enough that day. And if they would have found him, he would have scored more goals than he did, and he did get his goal in the second half. But I thought this was a different kettle of fish completely.
Yeah, he was really well shackled. I thought... yeah, I'm not really sure, but it was quite surprising the number of times he was making a good run and he just wasn't picked out, wasn't even looked at for some reason. I'm not really sure what the game plan was or why they were struggling. Or why they were struggling to even look at him. I'm not sure if it was purposeful. So get the bring on the phone. You can see here, Erling Haaland, he's the number 9. He's literally in midfield. There's Grealish, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez and Mahrez all ahead of him. He's actually like near Rodri with his average position, which is really strange.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Is that the whole game or the first half?
This is an average position of the whole game. I don't know if you can do it. I can tap Haaland. Look at his heat map. Absolutely nothing towards the penalty area. All literally in the centre of the midfield.
And if you take his heat map, obviously we're not going to do it now, but if you look at his heat map, like average over the season, they would all be in that 6-yard box. And look how deep that is. That's literally on the halfway line.
Yeah.
It's mental. That shows you how well Spurs defended yesterday.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. If you look at Tottenham's average position, you can see... like Kane again, quite interesting. He was the furthest player forward, but Son was quite near him, which is good. A lot of the time, if you took Son's heat map like against Arsenal, was very, very deep. This one a bit closer to Harry Kane, and I actually thought they were linking up. I've actually looked. I was watching the highlights again yesterday, and I think we were maybe overcritical of Son in our post-match thing. I think look, to be fair. We were maybe overcritical, but I did think he was a bit wasteful in the final third still. I still believe that. I think he could have done better, but he did do really well to put City under pressure from his counters. His dribbling from deep was really impressive, a lot better than it has been recently. And he just looked a lot sharper and a lot more like recently he's looked sluggish when he's taken people on. He hasn't had that confidence or to actually beat someone, and you just had that feeling like he's going to get easily outmuscled. But yesterday, he was really giving City a lot of trouble, and they found it really difficult to deal with him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And when when I was watching it back last night and back again this morning, I actually thought Sonny had a really good game yesterday, and he looked more like the Sonny that we haven't seen this season pretty much. He looked like he had a good aura about him. He was running at players, he was beating players, and he was just, causing Man City problems yesterday. And he hasn't really caused defences problems in the Premier League for a while now. So to cause Man City problems like he did yesterday is just music to all our ears. And hopefully it looks as though those goals at Preston has given him a bit of confidence now. And hopefully he can go on a bit of a run now, because yesterday was definitely, apart from Leicester, that second half of Leicester, probably his best performance of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he was so sharp. He was so much better than he was at the Etihad as well. And he really gave us that threat in behind, which maybe without him, we would be lacking a bit. I was quite surprised, to be honest, late in the game that we didn't make more use of Danjuma and Richarlison, given the fact I thought Sonny and Kulusevski looked like they were tiring a bit, and we could have used a bit more pace in behind, and when Man City were penning us in for the last 15 minutes. But look, we got the win in the end, and so I can't really criticise. But it's interesting if you look at the heat map as well, not the heat map, the average positions. You bring it back on. If you can see how narrow Tottenham are.
Yeah. Very compact.
Emerson and Perisic also really narrow. Emerson is the furthest guy on the right, but actually Perisic is there in near the centre circle. Almost looks like a midfield three with Højbjerg, Bentancur and Perisic. And you can see the reason why we were so narrow. If you look at Man City, they're just not very wide. Mahrez and Grealish are very much infield. They're not like hugging the touchline, and maybe that compactness helped. The fact that Man City weren't stretching the game. Their wing back. If you look at their wing backs, Walker and Ake, very much in their own half. Not you associate Man City wing backs, in the final third causing overlaps. They weren't doing that yesterday, and I'm not sure if it was to do with the tactics from Guardiola going with that back three, and that provided that caused that lack of width. But I think that lack of width really helped us. It felt like our defence wasn't as stretched as maybe it could be, and maybe that's a difference to maybe when we played Arsenal and they got Zinchenko or they got Ben White really far forward, and it really stretched the play. Whereas Man City were very, very narrow, weren't getting their fullbacks forward, and I think it allowed us to really concentrate our defensive ability in those central areas where we were really strong and we were really compact. And I think Man City played into our hands a bit in that sense.
Yeah, totally. And it was just so great to take the 3 points yesterday. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Arsenal have lost. We have to let City win and all that kind of stuff." But look, if Arsenal are not going to win the league, they're going to screw it up themselves. So we just need to concentrate on ourselves. And when you're looking at the landscape of the league table now, you're looking at you're genuinely looking at top four as a big possibility for Spurs come the end of the season. Newcastle dropping off a little bit, 4 draws in their last 5 games. Man United with Casemiro out suspended for the next 3 games, albeit we got Romero out. But you're looking at this season now where everyone was really doom and gloom maybe a week or 2 ago about the season. But you're looking at it now with new signings to come in the team like Porro and Danjuma. You're looking at our bench yesterday, Lucas Moura, Danjuma and Richarlison on the bench. All 3 can have an impact when they come on in games which we're struggling in. And in the next round of the Champions League, which we go to Milan next week, in the FA Cup where we've got somewhat of a kind draw where there's only a couple of big teams left in it. And Spurs well and truly in the top 4 hunt as well. So you're looking at, we could have a big second half of the season now, can't we?
Yeah, lots to play for. You got to remember, look, we're obviously there's 22 games gone, so there's still 17 games left. That's nearly half a season pretty much. So there's still a lot of football to be played with. We're now getting those, as you say, we're getting those players back from injury, and all of a sudden the squad looks like plump. It looks like we have options now rather than beforehand, like we were struggling a lot, especially when Lucas wasn't an option at all. Richarlison and Kulusevski were both having spells on the sidelines, and it seemed like we were really struggling for options. And all of a sudden now we have loads of different options we can play in the forward line. All of a sudden it looks like we have depth all over the pitch, apart from maybe centre back. Yeah, we look like centre midfield with Sarr, Basuma being options. We look like more depth,
isn't it? Centre back and left wing back.
Left wing back now, yeah. Now with Porro there and Emerson starting to show good, consistent performances. Right wing back looks all right. So I think there's a lot to be positive, a lot to be excited about. The form is definitely starting to turn. I think defensively we're getting a lot better. We're being more aggressive. We're not having these. Hopefully, anyway, we're not like giving up goals early anymore. Over the past few games, anyway, we're not having those sluggish starts and always having to come back in the second half. We're having consistent, solid. We're looking, hopefully, to getting back to those levels from the second half of last season. This is what I'm seeing right now in our defensive displays over the last few weeks. But just a lot more solid, a lot more aggressive, and we're a lot less easy to play against. I felt like there was a long stretch where we were way too easy to play against. And yesterday was probably one of, if not the only game, we've played well for like 90 minutes. I can't think of too many times we've done it this season.
Yeah, totally. And you're looking at since they had that meeting after the Man City game, that clear the air meeting with the team where Harry Kane led it, we haven't conceded a goal since then. 3 wins on the trot, albeit one of them is against Preston, but it's no mean feat to go to Fulham, not to concede a goal and to win the game. Man City as well, coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, not to concede a goal and to win the game. So it's very impressive, and you see loads of similarities actually to last season, where the first half of last season, albeit we did have Nuno for the majority of it, but even when Conte came in, we were conceding a lot of goals. We weren't organised at the back really well. The defence was letting us down time and time again, albeit we did have quite a few injuries at the back. And then suddenly we beat Man City and something seemed to click and we went on a really good run. And hopefully it's the same thing this season.
Well, if you look at our run of games, I just read out of our next 9 games, we faced 7 of the bottom 8.
Yeah.
So we have a really good opportunity now to kick on in the league and go on a really good run of games. And what we got to do, though, is not get too ahead of ourselves and think because we're on a good run, we have to, and because we're playing these teams, they're going to be rollovers and, you know, we can just go at them and just win 3-4-0. We got to keep this defensive solidity right now and make sure we're keeping clean sheets because we have more than enough firepower to hurt anyone. I think that's clear to see. Our front line, especially with the options now we have, is good enough to give any defence trouble if given the opportunity. What's really been lacking this season, we know, is been our defence. And if we can just keep this defensive solidity and make sure we're just keeping clean sheets, I've got no worries that we're going to go on and score loads of goals or score at least a goal a game with the quality we have up front. So even if we go on a run having a few 1-0s, we just got to make sure we're keeping those clean sheets, make sure we keeping compact and not being so easy to play against and to create chances against like we were for that period. If we can keep this what we have now, then I do see us going on a run if we can keep this defensive solidity. But it's all about if we can continue to be brave with our defence, continue to be aggressive and not allow ourselves to just give the opposition so much encouragement early in the game like we did over like the November-December period, which was really worrying. And the worry was that period went on for so long. It was like when's it ever going to end? It kind of felt like it was never going to end, but now hopefully we are coming to the end of it.
Yeah, and like you say about us not doing well for the first part of the season defensively and conceding a lot of goals, most in the top half of the table. But it's even more impressive that we've gone through this run seeming like we're going to come out of it the other end and we're still in touching distance of the top 4.
Yeah, because we could easily be where Chelsea and Liverpool are, and we're not. We're thankfully a lot better off than they are, even though you could argue our level of performance, especially over those 2 months, was very similar to what you're seeing right now from Chelsea and Liverpool. The fact that a lot of the games we did have to dig in deep, and we did get results like Bournemouth away and Leeds at home, where those results probably we shouldn't have gotten, and then we just dug very deep and ground out results. And maybe those are the games where Liverpool and Chelsea, they have a similar level of performance, but they just haven't been able to grind out as many results as we have when they haven't been playing well. So hopefully now we've gone through that period and maybe we can start to turn it around now and have these and everyone could be on the same page. I think as well, Conte being obviously being ill, he was at home. You could really tell the players were fighting for him. You can tell they're definitely still with him. I think Stellini, you could see after the game the way he was embraced by all the players and everything. He clearly has a great connection with them. So I'm not obviously that period was really hard to watch when we kept conceding the same thing, just kept happening game after game, and it was like Groundhog Day pretty much every game. I'm just praying that's behind us now, and we've got this defensive solidity back and that aggression back. That's one thing that Conte said was missing from our defending, is that nastiness, that aggression. That last season, we weren't taking any shit from anyone, and it seemed like that changed for one reason or another. But hopefully we got that back now. We seem to anyway with these performances, and to get a win against a team like City, regardless of how they're playing, it's going to give the team confidence to keep going in the way they're going, and we need to make sure we don't lose that, and we can't take anything for granted.
Yeah, and it just makes you think though, like where we would be if we kept that same defensive solidity from the back end of last season in the first half of this season. Where could we be sitting right now if we did keep that? But look, no point going back on that. But like you say, in our next 9 games, 7 of them are against the bottom 7. One of them is against the the classic top 6 in Chelsea, who are currently 10th in the league now. And when you're looking at Newcastle's fixtures over the next 9 games, they got to play Liverpool at home, Brighton at home, Man City away, Manchester United at home, Villa away. And then we got them a bit later, and they need to go to Brentford as well. So they've got some really hard games coming up, Newcastle. And when you're looking at them right now, they're struggling to beat anyone. They've had 4 draws in their last 5 games, and the recent one against West Ham was at home yesterday against West Ham at St James's Park.
It was at St James's, yeah.
So, I mean...
They've 4 draws out of the last 5.
Yeah, Newcastle are not going too well at the moment.
Yeah, the fact they're not losing means that they've still got that solid base, and even though they're not winning, they've still not conceding too many goals, and so it just means if they can get their attack to click, they've still got that solid base of clean sheets. So I think from their point of view, they're not going to be too worried right now. If this continues for a lot longer, then I think maybe you've got to think that they're starting slipping. But right now, they're still as solid as ever at the back. The chances are starting to dry up, but they would argue, say, Maximum's starting to get back in the team. Gordon now they've signed, and he will give them a new bit of energy, and he actually looked really good when he came on, to be fair. Isaac's coming back from injury, so I think they've still got a few more cogs to turn. I think the Almiron's form is probably regressing to the mean at the moment. He was clearly having a massive overperformance before the World Cup, and since the World Cup he hasn't quite been the same. Yeah. He was just scoring like worldie after worldie, and that was never really sustainable. Yeah. So with his form drying up, maybe we're starting to see Newcastle where they, with their goals really drying up, we're starting to see where they might maybe truly at. But from their point of view, they'll be hoping the new attackers can give them a bit of a new lease of life, and they can get on again. And the fact they're still winning clean sheets, who knows? But 4 draws out of 5 isn't great, but they're not losing, so that's positive from their point of view. But we're 1 point behind them now, considering the great form they've been on. They've won.
In hand, though, don't they?
They've got a game in hand, but considering that they've had 1 loss this whole season, the fact we're only a point behind them and we've lost 7 games, we've lost 6 more games and we're a point behind them, which is crazy because they've had a lot of draws. So let's hope that look, they definitely are catchable. They definitely are, because their squad, as much as it's good, and Eddie Howe has been playing well, their squad, their forward line especially, is just not as good as ours.
And also on top of that, they've never been here before. So they don't have experience in fighting in a top 4 race, like the players that we have obviously got it every year. We're fighting for the top 4. So I think that will stand us in good stead as well. And I think later on in the season, you'll see how much value that does have to Spurs going into this battle with Newcastle for the top 4. But look, that is your match review for the game yesterday. Happy Spurs fans today with Arsenal losing, Spurs winning, and Harry Kane beating Jimmy Greaves' record, which is unbelievable achievement for Harry, and we're all very proud of him. But let's go on to Twitter Reacts and see how Twitter reacted to the 1-0 win yesterday.
Yeah, and everyone was absolutely delighted with how things unfolded. We'll start with Antonio Conte's message to the players. He put on Instagram yesterday, "Always with you, even from afar, proud of the whole team." And he was obviously videoed giving Harry Kane a phone call after the game, wasn't he, to tell him how proud he was. And that was obviously it was actually great to see. see, Harry Kane answering the phone, yes, boss. Well, what you got to say? And he's like, Harry, I'm so proud of you, Harry. It was really heartwarming. You see this TikTok that Spurs posted yesterday?
Yeah, I saw
Absolutely brilliant. Harry Kane just sticking it to all the criticism he's had over the years. And, look, I think he deserves to. Becoming Tottenham Hotspur's record goal scorer, I think he absolutely deserves to stick it to anyone.
I still just can't get over it. And when I'm watching these videos, even though I've seen them 100 times already now, I'm still getting shivers up my spine because it's just such a momentous occasion. Harry Kane to be top goal scorer of this football club with that many goals by this age, to beat Jimmy Greaves' record, like it's just mind blowing.
How many academy products are the top goal scorer of their club?
That's a big question. I don't think many.
I can't think many. I don't think many. He must be very. That's very. I think that's quite unique. I don't think it's a lot.
Obviously, Alan Shearer came through the academy at Southampton.
Yeah. Rooney obviously was signed for signed by Everton.
Academy of Everton. I can't think of many. If you guys know in the comments, let us know. I can't think of any, to be honest.
Arsenal was honorary. So Man City is Aguero. Man U's Rooney. I can't think of too many players who are the top goal scorer ever for their club, and they're an academy product. Maybe Liverpool with Fowler. I don't know. Is Fowler the top goal scorer? I'm not sure. It's incredible. Did
Fowler come through the Liverpool academy?
Actually, I don't know. I thought so, but I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
This is top goal scorers by clubs. I've got it up here now.
Here we go. We're gonna get it for you. Ian Rush, someone says maybe.
So Aston Villa is Gabby Abong-Lahore.
Okay, he came through their academy.
Blackburn, Alan Shearer. Bolton, Kevin Davis. Don't know where
he was signed by.
Brentford, Ivan Toney. I don't know where he came through. Brighton, Glenn Murray. Chelsea, Frank Lampard. He's West Ham. Palace, Wilfred Zaha. Did he come through there?
He's a Palace Academy product. Yeah.
But you're talking about these goals. There's nothing like Harry Kane.
No, Kane is 200. Yeah.
Everton. Wow, is that true? What? Everton's top Premier League goal scorer is Romelu Lukaku.
That probably makes sense. Yeah.
That's mad. Fulham, Clint Dempsey. Leeds, Mark Viduka. Leicester, Jamie Vardy. No, he didn't come through there. Is Robbie Fowler? I don't know if Robbie Fowler is a Liverpool Academy player or not. Let's have a look. Who else we got?
Anyway, it's very impressive. Rare. Yeah, it's very rare, and to do that, to score the amount of goals he has as an academy product is incredible.
Les Ferdinand, maybe. Matt Letizier's one.
Yeah, Matt Letizier's Southampton.
101 goals.
But Kane, to do that as a academy product for Spurs is really, really impressive. If you haven't seen this, by the way, Spurs put out the clip of Rob Daly reacting to Kane's goal, which is you have to see it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Robbie Fowler is a graduate from Liverpool.
This video was what's it called? One way of dealing with Erling Haaland. How to stop Erling Haaland 101. There's Romero just going whack
that was his
straight
booking,
in. Yeah, unbelievable. It was so funny when he did. It's like bam, didn't give two shits. And he actually had a great game. Although it's funny, like he got sent off, and you'd expect a few murmurings from Tottenham fans, like, oh, he's too aggressive, he's too rash, all that, after getting that red card. But I think everyone's acknowledged, despite getting the red, he had a great game, and he actually it was 2 yellows, but the quality he showed throughout the game probably made up for that red card, despite the fact he got sent off late on.
Yeah, and also, I know he's going to be a big miss against Leicester, but at least he gets a nice break before we go to the San Siro.
Yeah, true. And look, it's one game we saw last season. He missed a few big games, and we still got the job done. So hopefully, one game against Leicester won't be too much of a miss.
Yeah, and after the game he does miss, AC Milan, West Ham at home, Chelsea at home, 3 massive games coming up after that. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it says 100% aerial duels won, 6 duels, ground duels won, 3 clearances, 3 possessions won, 2 blocks, 2 tackles, 2 fouls committed, 2 fouls won, and 1 red card. So he actually had 2 yellows from both his fouls. He actually only made 2 fouls. 2 fouls, and both.
They were both bookable fouls.
Yeah, probably right. This is brilliant from the Spurs official Twitter account. They quote tweeted Harry Kane after he scored his first ever goal against Shamrock Rovers in 2011. Kane was messaged, "Thanks for all the messages. Shame we didn't get through. Pleased for my first goal, first of many." And then Spurs just quoted saying "first of many."
Shame we didn't get through.
Because I think we went out in the group stage then of the
Wasn't that not
Europa
against
League.
Shamrock Rovers?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't go through.
No, we went out.
Wow.
Of the Europa League group
Don't
stage.
remember that whatsoever.
Yeah, we went out in the group stage. If you look at the attacking threat, it's quite interesting. Like, despite a lot of possession from Man City, you can see here Tottenham have lots of threat pretty much throughout the game, and probably even more than Man City. I think the bars are slightly higher, so that goes to show that it wasn't just backs against the wall stuff from Tottenham and just battening down the hatches. I think we were really threatening on the counter, and in fact, as you said before, it's just disappointing that from the really great positions, the number of great positions we found ourselves in, we didn't make more out of those opportunities, and not just with goals, just like with really good chances. We had so many opportunities to play ourselves in on goal, and although we did have a few times it could have been so much more.
Yeah, I did feel like maybe Stellini could have brought on a Danjuma, could have brought on a Richarlison with like 20 minutes, half an hour to go. I felt like he did maybe leave the subs a bit late. And you saw how threatening Spurs were. I thought maybe we just needed a bit more energy in that front line. And if Danjuma could have come on, he could have really ran into their throats a little bit more. But we got the win at the end of the day, so can't complain too much.
This was Stellini after the game. Just a bit with you can see how much all the players respect him, and it was great seeing all the players embrace him yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic, and he did brilliant. And I didn't realise that. So he was obviously on the bench as well for Marseille, which was a massive game, and we end up getting over the line and getting with a win. So another game he's had to step in, and another game he did absolutely brilliant on the touchline, and credit to him. And clearly, they have a clearly very close relationship, him and Antonio, and it's great that even when Antonio obviously wish him better, and hopefully he gets back on touch as soon as possible. But he's clearly an able deputy when need be.
If Conte walks at the end of the season, he's taking Stellini as number one.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know if Stellini would ever leave Conte's side. I don't know if he would dare. Here's the XG for Erling Haaland yesterday. Accumulated 0.00 XG against Tottenham this evening. Literally didn't have a sniff, Erling Haaland. Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, against Man United away, he didn't have a shot on target. But this game, he didn't even have a shot at all, let alone just not on target. So was really, really well shackled. Again, and our record against City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 5 games. This is Man City, 5 games, 0 wins, 0 draws, 5 losses, 0 goals scored and 7 conceded. You know what's mad is that over those 5 games, they've conceded 7 goals, but they've had an XG of 9.5.
Wow.
So if you play those games out like 100 times, probably 90 times, they score about 9 goals. But we're living in the universe where they've scored 0, which is pretty crazy.
Crazy.
Statistically, that must be pretty crazy.
Apparently, it's like over 80 shots or something. How many shots is it?
I don't know how many shots it is, but they have had a lot. They just every time they come, they dominate possession. They have a few. Actually, this is probably one of the more dominant defensive displays from Spurs compared to maybe previous ones.
And the XG yesterday was 1.46 to Spurs, 1.32 to Man City.
Yeah, this is probably one of the few times we out XG'd them, which was good because they usually get a penalty or something. This was Harry Kane getting a phone call by Antonio Conte after the game to congratulate him on his breaking the record. Wholesome stuff. You should get a watch. Here was brilliant. This team photo after the game, absolutely fantastic stuff. You can see here Stellini. Look at the passion in Stellini's face. I absolutely love that.
It's been a while since we've seen his Tottenham team photo. Look at Pedro
Porro there. He's settling in. Didn't get any minutes on the pitch. Haven't even mentioned him, but yeah, didn't get any minutes on the pitch. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to his debut. I don't know if he'll start against Leicester, considering Emerson's form, but I'm looking forward.
I would like to see him start because he offers the attributes that we need in those kind of games. Where Emerson, I think he'll just frustrate us. I mean, he's had a great display last few games, really good displays. But I think you need to play to your opposition. You know what I mean? And I think Pedro Porro is more adept to fighting those kind of battles that we'll be in the Leicester game.
I agree. But I kind of want to see him. I do have a feeling though that they'll just give Emerson the nod because he's playing so well at the moment. So but maybe it's a case of if he's really again not doing it going forward, then Porro can come on and finally get his debut off the bench. Kane in the dressing room getting congratulated by all his teammates. Clearly they're all very proud of him for getting, he said, too many people to thank who have been a massive part of my journey. Couldn't have done it without all my family, friends, teammates, and especially the fans. Obviously big up to Harry Kane. The Jimmy Grooves Twitter account said, family same and congrats to Kane. We are proud that Jimmy's record has stood for over 50 years and know he would have been happy for Harry to be one to beat it after all this time. Congratulations to Harry from the Greaves family, Irene, Lynn, Andy, Mitzi and Danny, with Kane saying thank you for the kind words. It was a pleasure to have met Jimmy and I hope I've done his record proud.
Definitely have. And
he's also tweeted saying one season wonder. He was on it on Twitter last night, Harry Kane. He was just taking it all in, you can see
how emotional he was.
Yeah, it was a massive day for him. Massive day. Here's a breakdown, not a breakdown, but yeah, I guess it is a breakdown of all his goals, who they've been against. Obviously, 18 of his 200 goals, 18 against Leicester, 14 against Arsenal and Everton. So those are the goals he likes to score against, and obviously Southampton and West Ham up there. But look, 5 goals against Man United, Chelsea and City. He does score in those bigger games as well. 8 goals against Liverpool. Wow, he's got a decent record against them as well. And then here's a breakdown of how he has scored them. All of his 267, 39 penalties, 166 with his right foot, 50 with his left foot, 50 with his head, 1 with his shoulder, and 1 direct free kick. He's got that 1 direct free kick in there. I'm surprised it's that high. But it's still that Villa goal. Is that the only free kick he scored for Spurs? I guess, yeah, that's the only competitive one.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And that was his first one. How mad is that? His first free kick he took and scored, and hasn't scored since.
That's what you call beginner's luck.
And even that was deflected. Even that hit the wall.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That is exactly the definition of beginner's luck on free kicks.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Andrew Gaffney says, what people get wrong in these legacy debates is there's a difference between Harry Kane's legacy and Tottenham's. Tottenham winning something would improve the club's legacy, but it doesn't make Kane a better or worse player. He's already one of the greatest ever Premier League strikers. Absolutely spot on. And the last one is Harry Kane is just the 3rd player to hit a double century of goals in the Premier League, achieving the feat in 304 games. Alan Shearer needed 306 to get there, while Wayne Rooney required 462.
Wow.
So he's done it in about 150 games less than Wayne Rooney, which is incredible achievement.
It's incredible. And the Rooney-Kane debate gets brought up a lot in terms of who was the better player. And I think just looking at those stats alone, I mean, it's hard to say Rooney was the better player now. Obviously, Rooney has all the medals behind him and stuff like that because he was in that Manchester United side, which was completely dominant in this country. But I think as an out-and-out player, I'm going to say it right now, I think Kane is a better out-and-out player than Rooney was.
I think so, and especially consider how they perform at major tournaments. Rooney always flopped at major tournaments massively. Kane has got golden boots. He's got goals in knockout stages.
He had one good tournament, didn't he, Rooney?
Rooney in Euro 2004, that was his first one, and then he really, I think he got 1 World Cup goal throughout his whole time.
But you say that, but like England now is a completely different England than when Rooney were playing. England have turned up the tournaments since. I know Harry Kane's obviously a very central figure to that, but the whole team seem to click a lot better now than they did then. So
potentially you could argue they had a better team.
No, they had a very good team, but there was always the case of, Rio Ferdinand has spoken about it a lot, saying it was very cliquey then. Team members kept to team members, didn't really speak to each other. And now it seems like a more together squad where everyone's in it together and they work much better as a team.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that, 1 World Cup goal isn't particularly. And also, I think Kane beat his goals at major tournaments, like in one tournament. You know what I mean? I think Kane's been better for England. Obviously, Wayne Rooney played in a much better side when he was playing for Man United. But considering the tide, comparing that to Kane, like the fact that he's outscored Rooney at such a massive rate and at such an inferior side is also very, very impressive as well. Rooney, you know, was playing for Man United when they were winning 3 Premier League titles in a row. They had a chock-a-block with talent, unbelievable defenders and midfielders to play off, and Kane hasn't always had that. Although he's had good sides, he's never had anything close to Wayne Rooney. I think he is a better player than Wayne Rooney, in my opinion. I think he's definitely going to last longer. Think about when Wayne Rooney was like 29, 30. He was nearly finishing. I think he was, I don't know how old he was when he left Man United. He was probably, 32, 33? He was already done, whereas Kane just doesn't look like he's slowing down while he's approaching 30.
Is he the best Premier League striker of all time, Harry Kane?
It's difficult to call him. For me,
when you got strikers up there, you're talking about the Wayne Rooneys, the Alan Shearers. I mean, Thierry Henry, players like that. I mean,
Aguero.
I think Aguero. I mean, when you're looking at the best strikers in Premier League of all time, who are you putting as number one? It's probably got to be Thierry Henry, right?
Yeah, I mean, Henry had it was that the big difference between Kane and Henry is the pace. Henry had that unbelievable pace and dribbling ability. When it comes to like finishing, like playmaking, assists, and all that kind of stuff, I think Henry and Kane are very much on par. But Henry just had that dribbling ability over Harry Kane, which Kane's good, but he's not Henry good. But I still think, as a pure goal scorer, I think Kane is on par with Henry. Like, I think there's a debate to say Kane could even be better. But as an all-round player, it's hard to argue against Thierry Henry.
And obviously longevity, Kane's going to beat Henry on that.
Oh, yeah,
when you're
sure.
looking at their careers on a whole in the Premier League. And obviously the other one's Aguero. Where do you stack Aguero up against Kane?
Yeah, I think Aguero is an unbelievable striker. I think the one thing Kane had over Aguero is his ability to stay fit, I guess, over longer periods. Aguero always had those niggling injury problems and stuff. But Aguero was phenomenal. He's such a phenomenal striker with his ability to rig out of tight situations, his finishing ability, the power he got. I think the only thing Kane had over Aguero was his playmaking ability. I think Aguero was quite good with his playmaking ability, and he was good with his one-touch football. But when it came to like having real vision for through balls, like ability to really get consistent assists and things like that, I think Kane had that edge over Aguero. Whereas Aguero maybe is a pure goal scorer in one of the penalty. I think he was a bit sharper than Kane, Aguero, and obviously dribbling ability and stuff like that was probably a bit better. But I think Kane beats him in playmaking and ability to physical ability as well. So I think Kane probably just about edges it.
I agree, because when you're looking at the two players as a whole, I think Aguero is a better poacher than Harry Kane, and Aguero was probably the best poacher in Premier League history. Fox in the box around the 6-yard box. He was incredible. Obviously, he could do a lot outside of it as well. But I think when you're taking into account what the player can do from top to bottom in every facet of the game, I don't know if there is a better striker than Harry Kane when you take into account the whole spectrum of their gameplay.
It's like, could Aguero do what Kane does?
No.
Like for us. Like if you put Aguero in our team, like he's not good. Like what the team, like our team functioning is so we rely so heavily on Kane because he can do that job of dropping deep, like setting the tone, but also then getting on the end of things and being that striker when we need him to be as well. Like being the central hub of a team. I don't know if Aguero has that in him to do something like that. And even Henry, I don't like Henry was obviously amazing. I don't know if he has that ability to be a central hub of the team and be so reliant on like Kane is for us. Henry had unbelievable players around him and they played really beautiful football, one-touch football. But like to be a player where everything goes through him, like it's so difficult, and very few strikers or players are of that quality to be able to do that. And Kane is one of them.
Yeah, you're talking about a player that if he had a bit more pace than he had, Harry Kane, you're talking probably about one of the best players of all time. Never mind Premier League, in world football. A bit more pace, he could have done it, even though he probably is right now. I think he just needs the trophies, doesn't he? That's all he's missing right now, Harry Kane. And he's got the finishing ability of like the best striker in the world. He's got of like, let's say, Benzema or anyone, you know, you can take of the best striker in the world. He's got the passing ability of a Kevin De Bruyne. He's got the football brain of God knows who, someone in another incredible, like every single facet.
Like a Paul Scholes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Every single facet of his game is elite level, apart from his pace, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable that he's just come through. And it's unbelievable that, like, it's incredible when he was coming through our academy. It's like, it's not like any of these, like, he was naturally gifted with. Like, some players, like, you just come through, they come through and you know that they're going to be good at something. Like Bale was always, like, really fast and always had an amazing dribbling ability, and he was, like, a natural in these things. Like, Defoe was always, like, someone who, like, was, like, when he was coming through, always, like, a really great finisher, was always banging the goals, those powerful, sharp finishes. But when Kane was coming through, there was nothing like he was especially good at. All of the things he's amazing at now, he's had to really work at, like constantly, like throughout his game. He's always spent extra hours on the training back to perfect everything he's good at now, and he's built himself up in such a way where he's genuinely one of the best in the world in all these different facets. And he's a genuine inspiration to a lot of young strikers who maybe right now aren't the best at these certain things, especially young strikers who are coming through their academies and trying to learn their trade. They can look up to Harry Kane and say, even though at like 18, 19, I'm not as good as this guy at finishing, or this guy at passing, or I'm not as good as these other players. If I keep working out like Kane did, maybe when I do get to 21, 22, 23, I can get to that level. And Kane has proven that you don't have to be the very best for your age, at 18, 19, 20 to become one of the best strikers in the world. And he really is an inspiration.
Absolutely, really is. And it just shows how far you can go with hard work. That's just what it proves to anyone. And if anyone coming through, any young player, all they need to do is look at Harry Kane to prove how far you can go with hard work. But anyway, let's get into these super chats. Jaden says Kane will get his trophy on June the 10th. I'm guessing that's going to be in Istanbul.
Come on.
Lee Richards with the super chat saying, looks like the players were playing for Conte yesterday because of everything he's been through. Come on, Levy, nail that Conte contract extension down. And yeah, absolutely. Scorpion fan for life saying, if Conte signs, so will Kane, and the whole team will get a boost. But does Conte signing give Levy power? Contract and Spence saga feels like a power struggle. What would you say to that?
I mean, does Conte signing give Levy power? I mean, a bit, but like if Conte doesn't sign, then there's no power for Conte to have. He's gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he has to sign to still be here. Of course, it does. It does give Levy a bit of power, which is why Conte needs his trust. Needs to trust him if he's going to sign. But I think hopefully if he does sign, that would be a sign of Conte believing that we can really push on in the transfer market come the summer. And I do think, for me, as much as there is a genuine risk of Conte leaving this summer, 100%. We know with the character he is, there is a possibility he'll leave. But I do also genuinely believe a lot of what, all this posturing with Conte and will he sign, won't he sign, and all this kind of keeping the board on their toes and stuff like that. I do believe it's just a tactic to put a lot of pressure on the board. I do believe there is a genuine willingness to want to stay with him, and I do believe a lot of it is just to make sure that he is putting the board under pressure, making sure he does everything he can to get what he wants. But with the fact that there is a possibility of him leaving, but I do think there is more of a chance of him staying than people think there is.
Okay, next up is Dark Sun G. He says, I love how we won twice with Stellini, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Kane again. That's completely right, isn't it? Because Højbjerg, that's probably his last really good display he had in Marseille.
Yeah, he really stepped up for us again. And two big games, as you say, was where Conte's been missing, but we've had to really dig deep and get results and two good displays.
And the big players have stepped up on the big occasions for us when Conte has been out, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, this season, like even when things were going very bad for us, like we did show a lot of fight and a lot of mental resilience to get a lot of the results we did get during that period. And I think if we can get that mentality and marry it with a much more robust defence, and marry it with much more defensive solidity and that aggression, then I think we're onto something really, really special. I think the fact that we were so easy to play against, and I don't know what it was, we were lacking energy or whatever we were lacking for that part of the season. Even in those periods, in a lot of those games, we still showed a lot of mental strength and toughness to drag ourselves back into a lot of those games. And especially case in point, that Marseille game, we were 1-0 down heading out the Champions League, and we dragged ourselves out of it and got the win. And that did happen in a few games, even games that we didn't win. For example, like Liverpool, 2-0 down, dragged ourselves back in the game and should have got something out of the game. Like, it happened a lot of times. So if we can take that mental toughness into the second half of the season, then that can be a very positive thing for us.
Absolutely. KPV has gifted a We Are Tottenham membership. I'm not sure to who, but it says he's gifted a We Are Tottenham
Big
membership.
up to you, KPV.
So big up, KPV. Dark Sun G again says, 1 year ago we beat City, and it was "Are you watching Harry Kane" chant after beating City with a Son goal. Yesterday, Kane scored the winner, and we cheered 267 goals. Michael Hellman with the super chat saying, if we get top 4, challenge for the FA Cup and Champions League, does that pave over the Port's transfer strategy and concerns for the future?
If we get top 4, challenge. Does it pave over?
Basically, he's saying if we get what we want this season, is it papering over the cracks of maybe some of the positions not?
No, I just think it. I don't think it pay. Well, maybe partly, but I think it goes to show how good of a manager Conte is if he can do that with the level of defenders that we have. As I said, I remember saying this in the panel show we had on Thursday. As much as it's not totally on Conte how poor we've been defensively, he needs to show that he can get the level of performance that he did last season again this season, to show his quality again, and to prove to this hierarchy that if you can give this guy a level defender that can compete with the rest of the top 6, we can be flying next season. And it would paper over it a bit, but it would also show the quality of Conte again. That would be the main thing for me.
Jory says, everybody say, I love Emerson.
I love Emerson.
And I'm sure we've got a caller coming on next who definitely loves Emerson, and he'll definitely tell us how well Emerson played yesterday. But last but not least, with the super chat, El Dante says, Emerson Royale as a future centre-back for us. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, I think right centre-back, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And you know what? With Romero out suspended now for the Leicester game, would you like to see Emerson right centre-back instead of Sanchez, and then Porro given his debut?
I mean, I would. I don't think I'll do it, but I would like to see it, yeah. I think he could do that role. I don't see why he couldn't do that role, right centre-back. I guess obviously it's very different playing right centre-back to wing-back in terms of positionally where you need to be on the pitch, working with the rest of your back three in tandem for the offside line and all these different things. But in terms of his profile, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to fill in a right centre-back, especially when you look at his defensive ability aerially as well, his ability to get to the back post and defend that space. I think he could be quite effective there. The only worry I would have him is when, if we're playing it out the back and short, if his ability, because you have to take quite a bit of risk in that right centre-back role on the ball, like playing the ball into midfield or out wide, whereas when he's right wing-back, he's just receiving the ball a lot, and he's not really playing with a lot of risk when it comes to passing it out. So I would worry a bit with that. But if he can get that right and not make any mistake or any stupid mistakes, I think he could do a good job there.
I really would like to see it at Leicester on Saturday. But anyway, let's start taking callers. It's your chance to have your say. The link is in the community section if you want to come on and have a chat with us. But let's start off with Grandpa Brian back on the channel, people. Hi, Grandpa.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got a funny voice, but I sound like the Godfather, or on Brando.
Yeah, you've been you were shouting too much at your TV.
Yeah, shouting at my TV far too much yesterday. You're quite right. Anyway, a couple of interesting points I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Apart from what a fantastic match it was, I couldn't give anybody below 7 of the team, which I've never seen before. Not one player played badly, really. I would give man of the match to Holbier. and second to Royal. I thought Emerson Royal was great, and my faith in him started to show. But Hobio was brilliant, and I give him the edge because the way he made that goal for Kane was just outstanding. Being pushed and shoved, and he managed to get the pass over. Absolutely brilliant. And Dyer too. I mean, what a game Dyer had! But everybody played well. I mean, the only person that wasn't allowed to make a mistake was Lloris.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to make a mistake. But I think some of the big lessons that were learned was the way who was it? Fulham. It was at Everton beat Arsenal. Their interventions was incredible, and so was Fulham when they played Southampton. Their interventions were incredible, and I think we learnt a lot from that because we were intervening. There wasn't a minute that they were allowed to stay on the ball, and that's what gave us the edge. I really believe that. And I think the other thing that helped us win was Conte not being on the bench.
Do you think the team really stood together and really stood up for the cause and really fought for Conte yesterday?
Well, they did, but I don't think that's the reason. I think when Conte's on the sidelines, he's trying to be the captain. He's pushing and pulling, and they don't know where they are. When Conte wasn't there, they had freedom. They could play football like they know how to play football without having all that shouting and screaming in their ear. And I think that's one of the things that they had then was freedom.
So you think Conte should be in the crowd a bit more often, or be at home?
Or said that he can cheer, he can clap, he can hug, but just don't try to get them to play a different way to the way they intend to play because they're good footballers.
But that's the thing, Grandpa. When Conte's on the touchline, he wants to kick every ball. He wants to win every chat. He wants to be the one tackling. Like, he's so passionate. Like, you don't want to take that away from him. Maybe he does get a bit too involved, you could say.
Well, that's right. I mean, you've got the captain in goal at one end and him in the centre shouting instructions all the time. Very, very hard. They need to be freed up. They need to play football the way they know how to play football. And I think it was just fantastic. It was a great match to watch, and it was so exciting and very sad. I mean, one of the reasons they won, I think, was because none of us were there.
Is that another thing we need to do? Is just stop going now? Is that it?
Yeah. It was great. It was great, and I've got no complaints. I was surprised that they didn't bring Polly on at the beginning or at half time, but it proved to be right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have brought Sessing on, I don't think, on at the very end there. I would have brought Polo on then, or what's the other new guy?
Dan Juma.
I would have probably brought him on just to give him a go. I don't think Sessing was likely and didn't show anything particularly good. But nevertheless, it was just probably one of the best matches we've won. And Kane getting that miraculous goal that took him to the leader of the goal scorers for Spurs. It was just made it a brilliant day for everybody.
Yeah, how special was that? Kane doing that kind of record, coming through our academy and becoming our all-time top goal scorer for you. How special was that moment?
I think that something coming has stayed with us, supported us with all these different captains, different
managers.
And managers that we've had. He's stayed with us. He's supported us. He's truly, truly one of our own, and I think that makes it even more wonderful. And I just hope that he carries on that way at the end of the season, when, in fact, we may get something more special for him, which he deserves.
Do you get a sense, Grandpa, now? Obviously, it's been a hard first half of the season for Spurs and the Spurs fans. But after a result like that, our first win against a team in the top six, do you really feel like maybe this can kickstart our season now?
Yeah, I think that and buying into two good players, one really good player. I think once we see him on the road, I think that we've got a chance. I think we've got a chance. Football is a very funny game, and it's very funny results.
Yeah,
I mean, you never thought Everton would have beaten Arsenal.
yeah,
You wouldn't have put money on it, and that we're getting results like that all the time. But let's hope we do get more results like that, but in our favour.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I think I still think there's a chance for us to actually win the league now, and
Win the
let's
league.
Win the
Wow, that's
league.
big words, Grandpa.
Well,
That's big
11
words.
points behind Arsenal, and they have 2 games in hand.
I know, but let's go for it, boys. Let's, they lost the last game. Let's lose a few more games, and you'll see.
And
But
Man City
anyway,
get a points deduction. Arsenal go on a losing run. Maybe the door's opening.
but even so, I think there's been some talk about Conte only wants to win the championship. Well, that's okay because if we win the championship, we've got to play good footballers, and so I don't mind. By winning the championship, we'll do better in the league as well. So I'm all for it. I'm all for fighting to get a trophy, ideally the championship or the league. I don't mind.
Yeah, and with these our defense seems to be improving a bit. I think it's 4 clean sheets in the last 6 games now. Do you see a big difference now in how we're defending compared to December January period where we were really struggling for a clean sheet to making lots of mistakes?
Particularly when Romero was injured, was made it difficult, and Dyer was playing so badly. It was nice to see him turn around, and Son had a great game.
Yeah.
And they're coming back, and this could actually help them turn and carry on moving ahead. All we can do is pray to whatever God you want to pray to. Just pray to them.
I think we should just pray to all of them and see what sticks.
I think that's the best way. I think that's the best way.
Grandpa, always a pleasure. Hopefully get to see you soon and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice one, Grandpa.
See you.
Bye.
Always great.
Winning the
getting
league.
Grandpa's thoughts. Winning the league.
Winning the league.
You know what?
We're only 4 losses away from them.
Just don't. Just don't.
We need to be dreamers, as Conte said.
A new member, a view from the South Stand TV, which is Marlon. So
Big up,
welcome
Marlon.
back, Marlon. And another super chat from the Joracle saying Emerson coming of age and Porro coming in makes the right-hand sides ready for the big stage. Now add 2 centre-backs and a keeper, then a cam. Finally, a left wing back, then a trophy.
Yeah, one thing with us choosing Doherty out instead of Emerson is I'm confident. I'm more confident now. Whoever we're coming up against, and we're not going to be like physically dominated, or anyone. Or I'm not worried about just Doxy getting rinsed by a winger or anything on that side. We have 2 options now who are really good physically, who are always going to be up for the challenge on the wings, especially on the right hand side anyway. So I think that's why I was more happy to let Doherty go than Emerson.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But from one Emerson lover to the next, something inside so strong. Let's get Barry on.
Come on, Barry.
Barry from
Come
on the
boys.
watch
Come
along
on,
yesterday.
boys.
I have no doubt that you were waxing lyrical about Emerson Royale yesterday, as you have been for the last couple of weeks, to be fair. Do you feel vindicated after that brilliant performance yesterday?
I told you, boys. I told you what's going to happen. Emerson was going to start over Porro, and he doesn't let us down. He doesn't let us down now. The last 3 or 4 games, look, he's had stormers, right? Compared to, look, I know someone's going to come on and let's be mindful over his ability, but look, he's starting to show what maybe we thought he was going to be. Look, he's doing a great job in terms of from a defensive side and defensive point of view. Attacking wise, yeah, okay, he's still not where we need him to be, but look, he was charging up that pitch. He was getting in that central half space that Ashmatic was talking about. Grandpa's loving him. The fans are starting to love him. So Porro will probably start against Leicester, but I wouldn't be upset if Emerson slips in at right centre back. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a good option for us, couldn't it? Especially with Romero being out. I mean, Emerson is really, since that Man City game when he came in after Doherty came out of the team, a really good display at Man City, gets his goal there, a better display at Fulham, and then is probably his best display in a Spurs shirt last night. So is it time people start putting a bit more respect on his name?
Yeah, well, look, you know me. I've been I've been talking about him for weeks and months, and everyone giving him hate. Look, I don't care what people have to say. He needs to start. All of them really need to start having that belief, because look, we're 6 points off second. We're in the FA Cup with a favourable draw. Milan are in the mud. And we're going to go out to Milan next week and potentially do something there. So look, I think in isolation, and I think Sean came on and said it yesterday, in isolation, we need to be positive, right? We know the bigger problems, we know the bigger picture, but look, nothing is going to change between now and the summer now. And we need to just back them and just look, the atmosphere yesterday, that's the atmosphere the fans need to create every home game. It was loud, the fans were behind them. Obviously, Kane getting the record, it just couldn't have gone better. I mean, obviously, you weren't there, so maybe there is a thing that like Grandpa was saying, you boys shouldn't be there. But no,
Don't you start, Barry.
Look, it's like everything's looking positive again. And I said this yesterday on the fan show. We go on this massive roller coaster. We go, and if we don't go and win at Leicester, there'll be doom and gloom again. But look, we're slowly but surely. We're coming back into the second half of the season. We're second half FC. Yesterday was probably the first game from minute one to the final minute that we played well for the whole game. I know Josh was talking about it on the WhatsApp group and saying, when was the last game? Yesterday was the last game, and I can't remember the last time that I felt good. Everyone that was watching it said it was a really good game. We had to be perfect. Stellini said about being perfect, and apart from that Mahrez chance where he should have buried it, it was perfection yesterday. And there seems to be a lot of trouble going on at Man City at the moment, and we took advantage. And now, we said it the other week. If we got something at the Etihad, then we go on a run. But look, we've got some favourable fixtures now. We could really, really go on a run. And look, I've been saying it: top four, FA Cup, Champions League. Why not? Why the devil not? Can we not go and do that?
Barry, with our defenders and our defence has taken a hard time from the fans this season, considering the amount of goals we've conceded and the mistakes they've been making. But I think it's 4 clean sheets now of the past 6 games. I think starting to turn for our back line, or is it too early to tell for you?
Look, like I said, we've got what we've got. We know we need upgrades. The right hand side now looks pretty much nailed on, and Porro, Emerson, Romero. I mean, Romero, that tackle. I mean, me and Danny were just laughing about that tackle on Haaland. It was just funny, man. Dyer was solid. Davis, I guess the weak side is the left hand side. Davis or Longley, you could probably flip a coin to who goes on in that position. Perisic was disappointing, but yeah, obviously Adoji's coming back. So look, we do need another centre back, another left centre back, and probably a left wing back, really. But we're not going to get that all done. We probably won't get that all done in the summer. But it's slowly but surely coming that way. Obviously, Sanchez says he wants to stay and fight because there was rumours he was going to be off in January. So look, I think we just need to be positive and move forward. Sonny yesterday looked like not the Sonny of old, but he was, the runs he was making, he wasn't losing the ball. He was getting into space. You could argue that probably Kulusevski had one of his worst games in a Tottenham shirt yesterday. But look, it was a great team performance, and that's what we need. We need people stepping up when the going gets tough. So yeah, I think we just need to be positive. We just need to be positive. That's the biggest thing, and we need to just take stock. Leicester, we got 6 days to prepare for Leicester. And we know what happens when we've got a lot of time to prepare for games. We end up coming out on the 3 points.
Barry, you're talking about FA Cup, Champions League, and making a run for top 4. Grandpa's talking about the league title. What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, I could quite easily get on board with that.
Get on board.
I
The
could quite
title
easily
charge
get
is
on
coming,
board.
Barry.
I could quite easily get on board Grandpa driving that train, but look, you never know what could happen. We like I said, we're 6 points off second. You're saying we're 11 points behind Arsenal. They've got 2 games in hand, but the Arsenal that we saw and we all love came back on Saturday. And if they suddenly go on a run where they start dropping points and do what Newcastle have done and drawn 4 out of the next 5. Look, I think it's a bit much of me being positive to say we're going to win the league, but you never know. Sport is a funny old game, and you never know what could happen. Let's see where we are with 4 or 5 games to go. But yeah, there's so many games left that anything could happen.
Let's finish off, Barry. Let's talk about Harry Kane. Obviously, a momentous occasion yesterday, beating Jimmy Greaves' record to become Tottenham's outright record goal scorer, an absolute Premier League legend, absolute Tottenham legend, England's top goal scorer, joint with Ray Rooney as well. Was that emotional for you yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I kind of taking stock to it. Even you talking about it, Ben, I kind of got goosebumps. Do you know what I mean? I think we don't realise what we've. I think we all realise how good Harry Kane is, and we kind of be lost without him. But I don't think we realise how lucky we are to have a player like him in our team, and how lucky we are to be able to witness what we've witnessed. The goals, when he was 18, he scored that goal, against Shamrock Rovers. 12 years later, he's beaten Jimmy Greaves' record. He's 8 away and now from Rooney. So. In theory, that should go by the end of the season, and then obviously it's on to Alan Shearer's Premier League record. So, look, I think, the words, everyone said it. You can't put into words his contribution to this team. And look, if we do go on and get one or both of those trophies in the competitions that we're in, I think he stays. He beats Shearer's record. And it could be where he takes it on and we give him what he deserves. He deserves a trophy. Obviously Hugo has done it for his country. He's won the World Cup. He's won multiple honours. It'd be nice for him as well, and obviously for Sonny. But for Harry Kane, we as a club, not only do the fans deserve it, but Harry Kane deserves it for everything that he's put in. And like I said yesterday, it's not bad for a one-season wonder.
Barry, can I ask you this? With what's coming out with Man City now, they could be potentially facing a points deduction, could potentially be facing relegation if if a lot of these charges are proven. If, let's say, the worst does happen and, what happens to Juventus a few years ago happens to Man City and they get ordered to be relegated, does that change anything for Spurs in terms of their standing in the league and maybe how attractive a club they become? And maybe even like when it comes to a lot of our big players staying, if they see an opportunity to take Man City's place amongst that upper echelons of the league, like, do you think what happening to Man City does affect Tottenham in any way?
Look, I think, yeah. I mean, I think if there's a case of looking to go to somewhere to win trophies, to have the opportunity to win trophies from a salary point of view, and I guess if you look at Harry Kane and going towards, he's still got plenty of years left, but that one last contract, that one last payday, then yeah, Man City at the moment will probably be an attractive option if everything happens like you say. So I mean, I think relegation will be. I don't think that will happen. Let's just say, you never know, but I don't. If it does, then look, we've got. If we keep going back to the kind of the line that kind of came out in the club in terms of the response to the supporters trust, we've got the stadium, we've got the training ground, we've got the facilities. We're in London, where a lot of players will want to come. Look, there's not, it could change things, but does it change things in terms of what it means with players and wages and transfer fees? I don't know, but it could. Yeah, look, if Chelsea are throwing, we know what Chelsea have done. Could they be the next ones off the rank if something does happen with Man City? We never know. But I think, look, we should be more than an attractive proposition to anyone that wants to do it. And and if we do finally get that monkey off our back and get a trophy, then and everything else falls into place with what happens with Man City, then 100%. Because Man City have got problems. Foden doesn't want to be there. De Bruyne being benched, Haaland, they didn't look like they were. He made so many runs, and you touched on it. He made so many runs that if they just picked him out, we could have been in a hell of a lot more trouble than we were yesterday. So they've got a lot of problems going on, and I think it's we need to take advantage with the way that they're playing, Liverpool playing, Chelsea playing, and we need to, I guess, make us the number one desirable team in London, because at the moment there's probably a couple of teams either not next door and over the other side of London that probably are more attractive from a money point of view.
Barry, if Man City do get in trouble for all this, and they do get dock points or relegated, whatever the case may be, and then later down the line Chelsea do you think Spurs fans might start to second guess maybe Qatari investment into this club?
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's always, I guess, that the saying is, "It's better the devil you know," right? And I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, if Enoch and Levy aren't there, and then what if?" And would we all put aside our moral beliefs because we'd win a trophy? Yeah, I think it would make people second guess it a little bit. So that's why now is kind of even more important that we go and win a trophy. Look, I know I'm not gonna start sitting there and saying, Enoch and Levy and they'll be saviours and everyone will be do a full 180 on them, because they won't. But look, it will raise doubts. It has to. But I think we've got more than enough to go and do something this season. I know I'll talk nonsense about Emerson and go and have a bit of a laugh, but
not looking like nonsense anymore, Barry.
It's not looking like nonsense anymore. So we'll just have everything on ice. Look, I said we get top 4 last year. I said we're going to get top 4 this year. I said Emerson's going to come good. We're going to win the FA Cup. We're going to Istanbul. So look, imagine if those 4 things happen, it's going to be an absolutely insane end to the season. And I can't wait. Look, it's a roller coaster, right? We might as well be positive about it. There's no point being doom and gloom. This is the end of the world. Blah, 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 blah. Just look, put the summer to one side, put everything, put the reinforcements to one side. We've got 16 games, 17 games left, plus the FA Cup and Champions League, and let's just go for all of them. That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do.
Come on, Barry. Something inside so strong. We'll see you in a bit, Barry, and have a good day.
Nice one, Barry.
Big up, loving the positivity flowing through the fan base today. Jaden says, forget FA Cup and the top 4. We're going for the Champions League.
Come on,
you Spurs. And let's get on our next guest. Another very happy Spurs fan. K to the P to the V. KPV. How you doing,
Hello.
KPV?
Hello.
Hello,
good.
KPV. How are you?
Good. I'm feeling great from the game yesterday, and Harry record breaker classer, you know the rest. Yay, brilliant win. 267. People were calling him a one-season wonder, but he even posted it himself and doing the violin thing like this.
Yeah, and it was just really was a momentous occasion yesterday. Harry Kane breaking Jimmy Greaves' record, becoming an even more of a Tottenham legend than he was before. I mean, what does it mean to you that Harry Kane has broken that Jimmy Greaves record?
I think it just means everything to us. Like, yeah, he saved it for the big game. He didn't play against Preston, so Conte decided to rest him for this game. And, Man City's record at Old Stadium is just it. They can't beat us there. They haven't scored a single goal. And Pep crying about driving from Manchester to London. Cry more, kid. Cry more. Like Charlton said our man on Twitter last year about that showboon against Nottingham Forest. Like, you can cry more, bitch. Like, your record is absolutely shocking. You can't beat us there, mate. So you've got to look at the empty had. We were only 2-0 up. We were keeping a clean sheet. Then they get 4 in the second half. So, revenge. And, they got in trouble when Liverpool won a title, and they were, charged for financial fair play. So if we had finished 5th, then we would have got Champions League. But it got overturned, and we had to go into the Europa League under Mourinho. But, let's hope this doesn't get overturned and we get a challenge for the league. Because positive from Grandpa. I'm getting on the board of that train. So all aboard, people. The title shot is coming, and the treble's still on. The double's still on for me. Champions League, FA Cup. Then that, I think, forces Kane and Conte to stay. Let's be honest. So
Damn
get
right.
positive. Let's be positive, lads. Trust me, man. Like, Leicester's up next. We all know Kane loves the goal against Leicester. And I heard one of Son's screamers against him has been nominated for goal of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And
Is it
definitely, hopefully, Son can repeat his hat trick next week. But are we gonna suffer without Romero? Or are we gonna be okay?
I think it's time we put Romero. Was it Emerson Chicken Royale white centre back? Like, yeah, put him there. Like, he had Jack Grealish in his pocket, him beating him in every single boxing round. Like, Grealish couldn't talk to Royale. Grealish couldn't talk to him. Like, so, yeah, like, enjoy the loss. And what more could you ask for than those lot at top losing to Everton? Like, and
Big up Sean Dyche.
big up Sean Dyche. It's just man. What the fuck is cooking? And
What the Dyche
we've
is
still got to
cooking.
play. What Dyche is cooking, same thing, whatever. But we've still got to play Everton. We already beat them when they had Lampard a couple of months ago, but we're still going to do them at Goodison. Conte's never lost there, just so people can remember. Conte's never lost at Goodison. Record brilliant, and like they've got Sean Dyche who beat us with Burnley 2 times. Let's not forget, but this we're coming for them, and then next week we're gonna go to Milan, who just lost to Inter last night. I watched, and they're getting slapped. They're getting put in a split. Just no.
Big up KPV.
Big up, man.
Go on,
Anyway.
Carl.
Like, I'm off to play FIFA, and Sim, you said 2-2. Well, what did we say? No 2-2. You said they were going to score Man City. Well, I want a game of FIFA with you, mister. I want it.
Bring it on. Bring it on, Carl.
Well, what have you got for me? Bring it. Let's go, man. This week. But as you two have not seen my team because I haven't updated it yet, like, you're not going to like it at the moment, so I'm going to update my team first. Then I've still got FIFA 22. Like, Ben still cheated on my birthday last year, and like, so, and Ben still needs to be told off by Brian Degger for mentioning an old player of ours. So it's time for revenge, Ben. But Sim, I want you first, then Ben afterwards. So bring it, you two.
Bring it, Carl.
Bring it. All right.
Come on, Carl.
Have a good day, KPV. We'll speak to you very soon.
Peace.
Up the Spurs and up
Jeez.
the KPV. How many do we have left? Just last caller of the day, and it is Stelios, Tottenham away. How you doing, Stel?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, all good, man. What a weekend. What a weekend. We started it off with Arsenal losing to Everton, the Sean Dyche special. Well, it actually started off with Chelsea dropping points to Fulham first and foremost, and then the Sean Dyche special, and then Harry Kane had his day, becoming Tottenham's all-time leading goal scorer, and Spurs beating Man City in our first win against the top 6 this season. So sum up your feelings after this great weekend.
Yeah, before I do, I just want to quickly say I've emailed you guys some images. I'm talking to your host in the background. If he could possibly use them for this little call-in, I'd appreciate it. If
He's
not,
got them.
don't
He's got
worry.
them ready. Don't worry. He's got them
right,
ready.
Nice. Oh, good.
Top stuff. All right, good. All right. How do I feel? Listen, I'm loving it. I'm loving it because, first of all, we've underestimated what Harry Kane has achieved, okay? I think a lot of fans have underestimated it. 141 years this club's been running. 1882 we were founded. To go and be the greatest goal scorer of all time in the club is a phenomenal achievement.
Absolutely.
Outstanding, of the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, 140 years of football, this man pops along and just lays down a marker that will be there for another 140 years. You know, when we were growing up as kids, our grandparents, our parents spoke about Jimmy Greaves and these amazing 1960s players and Bill Nick, and we've now just witnessed someone that's gone and surpassed that. Like when we're 80, 85, still doing YouTube or whatever it's called, right? We're going to be telling the younger people, oh, Harry Kane. Let me tell you about Harry Kane. Yeah, whoa, he was the best in the North London. That's going to be us. We've just lived it. So, listen, his speech at the end of the game was wonderful. It left everyone in high spirits after the game. And look, I've been one of the fans that's all season long been defending Antonio Conte. I've been defending his tactics. I've been trying to explain it. I'm going to try and explain it on this show now, very briefly. And I've been trying to get fans to stop this Conte out narrative and this, he only plays two in the middle. He's stubborn. He's a dinosaur. The football's turgid. He never makes substitutions. It's been such a weak level of conversation for me, guys. It's been such a poor lack of education in the conversation that when you see the players holding their shape in the phases of play, we're not a bad side at all. And if we bring in the right players and we do what Conte said, assuming he's here, that's the big white elephant in the room. Over 3 years, with this guy, with the right signings like Bentancurs, Romero's, Kulu's, Porro's, that type of signing, I think we're in for. I think we could be in for the most exciting time we've had since the 60s. But he's got to stay, and they got to back him with the right players. So a lot of buts, but yeah, look, it was a good vibe, man. It's the first time myself, Graham, Alex THFC, Ellie, who was there, Charlie, Phil P. We all went to the pub and we just had a fun drink. We just felt good, like relaxed. It's like So the vibe was excellent yesterday, guys. Can't take anything away from it. It was good old vibes that we had maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was nice.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. In terms of like some individuals, before we get into your images, you saw about making the right signings like Porro, but Emerson didn't do too badly yesterday, did he? Tell me about how well he did, and was that a shock for you how well, or is this in these kind of games can he do a good job, Emerson?
So Barry's just put the volume up now to listen. Barry's got a love crush on Emerson, so he's a bit deluded like that, but. No, I love Barry. Look, there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it yesterday and say, well, that was a really, really good performance, or you can look at the bigger picture. For me, I look at the bigger picture. If you look at Emerson yesterday, he had 10 interceptions, 78% of his duels were won, 67% of aerial duels won. All his defensive stats are way up on his average. So no doubt the eye and the stats both confirm really good defensive performance from Emerson. However, and this is where we need to bring balance to the conversation on this, right? Because everyone's got, I think, a bit carried away. 62% successful forward actions and 75% passing accuracy. On an attacking front, below his average. He didn't have a good game going forward at all. And the reason we play the way we play with attacking wing backs, the system that Conte plays, is more about the attacking forward creative element than the defensive. Bigger picture, there's a reason we spent £47 million on Porro. Because that forward creative attacking element that's paramount to this system is massively lacking with Emerson. And even when he had a good game, it was still lacking, guys. So, yeah, can he defend when needed, and has he upped his game? There's an argument to say, yeah, he has, if he can do it every week. But in terms of the system we play, the way we want to play, and the bigger picture, nothing yesterday confirmed that Emerson's the right player for us. And Porro will be that upgrade, no doubt. So I just want to bring balance to it. But yes, he played really well defensively, absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, to be honest. I think Emerson has shown he can have these kind of good games like he did last season. I remember Anfield, the Etihad. He can have these games where he's like really solid defensively and like doesn't make too many mistakes on the ball. But what we really need from wing back is someone who can actually make a difference in the final third. And I don't think he proved that yesterday. But he did show, obviously, he really solid in his duels. Really gave Grealish a tough time when Grealish was coming up against him. And he did show a bit of quality on the ball, but not exactly what we need for our wing backs. But look, let's get these images up, and you can explain what you're trying to show. So go ahead.
All right. So, first of all, we've spoken about it when we did the tactics show on your channel, Sim, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get caught up in formation, and I'm trying to change the conversation away from formation. It's about shape, the shape of the team in attack and when we defend, and they're called the phases of play. When you move, when the shape moves, and that movement is the transition. And there's different shapes depending where you defend, whether you defend deep, middle, or high press. And there's different shapes when you attack, starting from the back, winning the ball in the middle, or attacking high up. There's lots of different shapes, and so many fans in general, not just our club, all fans, guys, they get so caught up in formation, and then because the formation might not look like it's working, fans then they isolate on a particular area. And the popular one at Tottenham is 2 in the middle, we get overrun, he's stubborn, he doesn't know what he's doing, why doesn't he change? It's such a poor chat. And I want to try and break it down for fans to show you, hopefully, we don't play a 3-4-3, guys, because the shape changes. So the first image shows what the 3-4-3 looks like, all right? This was his team at Chelsea, right? So that's what we typically see, right? If you bring on the next slide, guys.
Yeah.
The reason we play it is because there's 2 diamonds at the back when we defend. So a diamond on the left, a diamond on the right. And likewise, when we attack, if you go to the next slide, we go to 2 attacking diamonds, okay? So this is why he sets it up like this. But in terms of shape, if you go to the next slide, there's only 8 slides. We've done 3 already. When we lose possession of the ball, guys, we actually go into a 5-4-1. And I've used the red lines to show it. We don't play a 3-4-3 in the phase of play, transitioning into defense. We go into a 5-4-1. And the next slide will show you what it looks like more. It looks more like this in terms of the actual shape. With Son and Kulu tucking in to make a midfield 4, and they're going to a bit more defensive mode with Kane up top. This is the 3-4-3. It goes into a 5-4-1. Now, where we've lost games is because we don't hold the shape in the transition. But yet, yesterday, when we beat Man City, look at the shape when we won the ball. Go to the next slide. There's the 4-1. They held the shape. They did it high up. We won the ball. The system works, but the players must maintain shape. This is the 5-4-1. I haven't shown the 5 because the screen would be too big, but this is the 5-4-1, guys. There you go. But fans get caught up in 2 in the middle, 3-4-3. That's not true. It's about players holding the shape, and it's going to take time to educate this to the players, to practice it, and for all players that come to the club to learn it. This is why it takes Arteta 3 years, Klopp 5 years, Alex Ferguson 4 years. It's a patience game. So I just wanted to highlight that, because when we do it right and people understand the shape in the transition, look how effective it can be. The one last thing I want to show you is
Leeds just sacked Jesse March.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just seen breaking news. But anyway,
Sorry, Stel.
he stopped junior tracks.
No,
So
that's
keep going.
all right. That's all right. Bit of breaking news. So I just wanted fans let's get away from this 3-4-3 and understand the shape changes, and it's whether it's knowing what the shape should be, and being able to spot whether they've done it. The last thing I want to show you guys as well is 2 more slides. If the wing back is caught high up, so if Sessegnon or Perisic are caught high up, no, there's a slide before this. Number 7.
This one.
No, there's one after. There should be one more.
One sec, he's just getting it. He'll get it. Bring Stel. He'll get it prepared for you. One sec.
It's the one that says Sess on it. Basically, if the wing backs get caught up high, guys, and we then have to defend, we can't go into a 5-4-1 because the wing backs are caught up high. We then go into a 4-4. So where I've just said we go into a 5-4-1.
There you go.
When we Yeah, when I've said we've gone into a 5-4-1 when we lose possession, when we lose possession with the wing back up high, we actually go into a 4-4-2. And let me show you against Arsenal when we actually held the shape. That's the next slide. There's the two banks of four. To prove what I'm saying is correct. Arsenal could not break us down when we held the shape. The problem we had in this game was Højbjerg and Pape Sarr, they lost their shape so many times, they cost us. And Son didn't recover as much, nor did Kulu on the other side. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with fans, because I think across all fan bases, we need to educate ourselves more on actual tactics and shape, as opposed to just being so focused on formation, because that's just not how it works, guys. So hopefully that might open up some eyes to some people and to understand why it worked yesterday. Because in the defensive phase, when we were in a low 5-4-1, they could not break us down. We nullified the space behind. Haaland was non-existent because he had no space to run into. This was a tactic. So, you know, we got to give some credit to the manager and the assistant manager, because they've stuck to this. And by not changing and listening to accusations that they're stubborn, this is why we beat Man City, guys. Now, if we can hold our shape, which is all about discipline, and we can have the fans get on board with the manager and not make these, what I call crazy assessments of 2 in the middle, overrun, stubborn, drop all that, because it's wrong. The conversation's wrong. If we can just get behind this manager, stop the stubbornness of us as fans, I really believe we can have a good second half to the season, because we are beginning to see early signs of things clicking. I'm not going to get carried away, by the way, but 3 games, 3 clean sheets. I mean, Nuno did the same, so let's not get carried away. But Conte's proven he can get us top 4.
Yeah.
So
for sure. When you get, I want to ask you something, Stel. When you go on about the fans talking about the narrative, you know, we get overrun in midfield because we play a 2 and it's more about shape. But do you not think there's some truth to the fact that we do have less control in midfield when we do only have a 2, compared to sometimes when we play a 3-5-2? Do we not have a bit more control in the centre of the pitch compared to when we do play a 2? And obviously playing a 3 comes with different issues like creativity and stuff. But when we do play with just the Højbjerg and Bentancur, do we sometimes lose a bit of that element of control when it comes to possession and stuff like that?
When we don't spread the ball wide to the wide players, who quite often are in acres of space, and it happened yesterday, and we didn't switch it to them. And when the 2 attacking players on the left and right of the front 3 don't drop in, then yes, we do. But that's down to players not moving into the shape. And that will apply to no matter what system you play under any manager. If players don't hold shape and transition into a different shape, depending on what happens in the game, you'll have a different problem. So maybe you will say to me, oh, we've got control of the midfield, but we're getting battered down the wings now. It'll be a different problem because the shape is wrong on the other side of the pitch. So you have a point, but my argument's always going to be, if players hold their shape and they know where to move in the transition, that won't happen. And we just don't have enough players that quite read the game yet in this team. We need intelligent players who are technically good as well. They're the 2 biggest attributes of a good player: technical ability and decision making.
Still, my grandpa's so high after that victory. He said he's looking at a title now. Arsenal lost to Everton yesterday on Saturday morning. We now cut the gap to 11 points, although Arsenal do have 2 games in hand. Are we deluded? Is he deluded?
I can't be on a live show saying your granddad is deluded. So,
Good man. So we're winning a title then.
No comment.
Stel, talk to me about... Go on, sorry. Go on.
No, go on. Move. Change the subject.
What about all this madness that's going down with Man City at the moment? You know, potential points docking, potential relegations. If they are found guilty and something like that does happen, and if something similar does have to happen to Chelsea later down the line, will you start thinking twice about potential Qatari investment in this club?
No, because I think that you got to treat an individual as an owner, not what country they've come from. Because no doubt a case will one day come up about a bad British owner or a bad American owner or a bad Scandinavian owner. So for me, no. But if anything, this will send a warning to all other investors and owners. You can muck about, you can do what you think you're going to get away with, but when we get you, we've got you, and there will be punishment. And I think there will be punishment off the back of this. So I think if anything, it sends a message out to the rest of the clubs. Don't think about doing what they've done. So no, I'm all for new ownership. You know my stance on it. I won't go into it because I don't want to make this an Enoch Levy out thing. But at the end of the day, until I see regular quality players coming into this club and we stop signing the likes of a Danjuma, a Longley, an Emerson, even though he had a good defensive game yesterday, a Galini, if I just see a consistency in the calibre of player coming in, I will back off on my position with the board. But I haven't seen that yet. And that was always hold us back.
Is there an argument to say that we are starting to see it with the likes of Cuti Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, Rodrigo Bentancur, Pedro Porro, these kind of players coming through the door?
Because we've been so starved of it, if we get kind of 5 signings right out of 10, we begin to say, oh, look, it is changing. But that big summer window for me is unforgivable. It was nowhere near good enough, not even close. And too many players came through the door that aren't good enough. We've got to solve this massive problem of having £250 million worth of talent. Well, is it talent? Out on loan. You know, some of those players were under Paratici. So he's spending money in some instances to cover up his mistakes. Well, why did you make the mistake in the first place? So I don't think it's a straightforward answer like that. The proof in the pudding will be over the next 2 years, more than ever before, if Conte stays and if he's properly backed. And I think as fans, we will all know if he's properly backed. We will know. Right now, we know he hasn't been because of things like Jed Spence, because of things like Longley stopgap, Danjuma stopgap. You know, but then when you see a Porro, when you see a Kulusevski, a Bentancur, yeah, you can say things might be changing a bit, but it needs to change more than that for me.
All right, fair enough, Stel. Thanks for coming on today. Great insight into the tactics as always. And we'll speak to you soon, my friend. Have a good day.
Guys, big up. Take care.
See you later, mate.
So,
all right. A nice long show for you guys. Player ratings and 5 takeaways coming up very soon. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.